I was just a boy when it happened, still too young to understand the weight of the events unfolding around me. But now, looking back, I remember it all as if it happened yesterday. I remember the quiet days before the storm, when the people of our village in KwaZulu-Natal spoke of King Zulu's sons with pride. 4 brothers, each strong and capable, ready to lead the kingdom. But there was always something different about the youngest, Busani. I wasn't a close friend of Busani, nor was I one of his men. But I was there. I witnessed it all, though I never dared to speak about it. Until now. It was said that Busani never wanted to be the last born. He had always been jealous of his brothers, each one chosen for a different strength. Mbali, the firstborn, was a warrior respected by all. Zola, the second, was wise and loved by the people for his counsel. Thabo, the third, was a hunter who could track anything. And Jabu, the healer, who could cure even the most dangerous illnesses with his knowledge of herbs. And then there was Busani, always overlooked, always second in line to someone else. But when King Zulu grew ill, and the deathbed whispers filled the air, everything changed. I was standing near the throne room when the old king called for the elders. He could barely speak, but his words were clear and heavy, like a storm that had been brewing for years. "Do not let Busani be king," he said, his voice shaking. "He has no love for the people. He has no heart for this kingdom. I fear that if he takes the throne, he will ruin everything." The elders were quiet. They knew that King Zulu's word was law, but they also knew that Busani had already started gathering his men. There was talk of ambition in his eyes, a hunger that could not be quenched by anything except the throne itself. I remember seeing the fire in his eyes when he looked at the kingdom as if it belonged to him by right. Soon after, King Zulu passed away, and with him, the kingdom seemed to crumble into uncertainty. The elders were divided. Some respected the king's wishes, but others feared what would happen if they went against Busani's will. I was just a witness, a simple man who worked in the palace and knew little of politics, but one night, I heard the whispers. The night was quiet, too quiet. The wind carried the scent of earth and the sounds of distant drums, but there was something else, a presence. I crept closer, hiding behind the tall stone walls, where I could see what was unfolding. Busani had gathered his followers, men who were loyal only to him. They moved like shadows through the palace, their eyes filled with determination and cruelty. There was no room for hesitation, no time for doubt. One by one, they found the 4 brothers. Mbali, the warrior, was first. I heard the clash of steel and the roar of the mighty Mbali, who fought to the end, but he was alone, and the attackers were many. I saw it, the flash of steel, the blood that stained the earth. Mbali fell. Then came Zola, the wise one. He had tried to reason with Busani, I heard, tried to convince him that the kingdom needed unity, but there was no reasoning with a man driven by ambition. Zola, too, met his end that night. Thabo, the hunter, followed. The one who knew the land better than anyone, who understood the forest like it was a part of him. But even he could not escape the silent killers who moved in the dark. And Jabu, the healer, who had saved so many lives, tried to run, to warn the village. But he was captured before he could reach the safety of the people. His life was taken just as easily as the rest. I saw it all, but I did nothing. I was too afraid, too terrified of what Busani would do to me if I spoke out. I had no voice. I was nothing. The next morning, the palace was quiet. The village knew nothing yet, and the streets seemed empty. But inside the throne room, Busani stood, his face cold and hard, like stone. He declared himself king, demanding that the elders crown him in place of his fallen brothers. Some of the elders, those who were loyal to him, agreed. But there were others who hesitated, those who remembered the king's warning. I don't know if they feared him or mourned the loss of his brothers, but they did not crown him immediately. In the days that followed, there was unrest. The people began to murmur. The villagers who had loved King Zulu and his sons were afraid to speak, but you could see it in their eyes, fear and sorrow. for the kingdom had been stolen from them by a man who showed no care for the people. As for me,